Alright, how's it going? So I figured it'd be fun to do a little Fast and Furious movie ranking video, because I've never done this. I don't know how. I've ranked a few other things and done a couple franchises, but this one's just kind of never been on my the front burner. With this, I'm not going to include spin-offs, so Hobbs & Shaw, which I do not own because it's such a pile of shit that I can't even bring myself to own it. We're going to leave those out, all of the side movies that I'm sure they're going to keep adding over the years. I don't really care, that doesn't matter to me. We're just talking the main saga movies. Now, we're up to 10. 11 comes out, I believe it's next year, and that's probably the last. This franchise, my goodness, it's taken so many twists and turns in different directions. It starts out as a street racing franchise. The fourth one kind of becomes like a crime thriller almost, where there's still a bit of racing, but it's more like a, crime thriller. And then the fifth and beyond, it becomes this Avengers-style franchise where you've got this crew assembled, and they're going into different countries every movie and beating up a new big bad guy. So it almost feels like a Saturday morning cartoon a little bit, where you've got like a new villain, a new area where you're in, but your characters are doing the same things in pretty much every movie. So, without further ado, let's hop into this. And we'll start from the worst and move our way up to the best. So for me, the worst in the franchise, and it's not even a debate, is Fast 9. This was the low point, and it came out during COVID, so that really did not help anything. This has the worst box office returns of the entire franchise. Believe Fast 10 was pretty close, though. Box office-wise, like in terms of how much the budget was to how much it made, I think Fast X was worse, but this was like $700 million or something. And right before this, you had Fast 8, which made 1.1 or something billion. I hate everything about this. They jumped the shark so many different ways with this. They went to space. They brought Han back. They made this girl the special serum. I don't understand. She's got like special blood that makes her super special. It's basically Hobbs and Shaw. It's the same thing, where the Decker Shaw sister has this like vial in her blood that they have to keep protected. It's the same plot in this movie. I just grew to hate the characters in this one. They're so self-aware. Like Roman in one scene's talking about, like, look, I'm bulletproof. Look at that. Yeah. And when it gets to that point of self-awareness, I can't even enjoy it. It's just such a stupid movie, front to back. Having John Cena as Dom's brother in the 9th movie was such a terrible idea. I know that they're getting desperate at this point, and they were just trying to replace The Rock, because he didn't want to come back with the whole feud with Vin Diesel. So they had to put a new big buff wrestler in there, and John Cena somehow vanished from this franchise before it even began. And then pops up in the 9th movie. He's not very good in this. I don't think John Cena's a great actor, and I just don't think he fits this franchise. I don't understand how they even try justifying that. Cypher with her terrible bowl cut. This movie was just a flop front to back for me. I don't have anything positive to say about it. Second last, so this would be 9th on the list. Fate of the Furious. This almost lost me. I get it, Paul Walker died just before this, so they were in scramble mode, and they were just trying their best to recover and make what they could from this. But this was where I feel like, okay, the movies before this were stupid, but Dom going rogue for the sake of this most convoluted plot ever, where his ex-girlfriend's locked up with this child, and he has to do all this basically at gunpoint, but he's so smart that he's been working her this whole time. This plot is so stupid. Like, it is so dumb. It's right out of an episode of, like, Kim Possible. It's so stupid. I almost can't even believe that they let this one go through. All the way from the opening scene to the end, where he races that guy in Cuba, and his car has to go backwards, and he blows it up, jumps out mid-explosion. So dumb. This is another one where I don't have much positive to say. The only scene I like in this is the prison scene, where him and Jason Statham, I say him, The Rock, because we know he's the only watchable part of this, are just beating the ever-loving fuck out of every guard on their path to fighting themselves, when they just finish in the pose and Kurt Russell walks in. It's a great scene, but other than that, I really can't think of another scene in this movie I like. Yeah, this is just, yeah, like the utter downhill slope of the franchise where I just don't think it could have recovered from this. But at 8, I do have Fast 10. So to me, this was better than 8 and 9. And I've rewatched this like 3 times since I've seen it the first time, which it's more than I've seen either of those, I believe. This was just such a fun experience. Terrible movie, I get it. It's not better in any way than the last two in terms of the stupidity factor, and they added some characters that I really don't like Brie Larson and Dom's black kid, which makes 0 sense considering neither him or Elena were black. But we'll just continue, I guess. I think Jason Momoa was just a great villain. He's so hilarious. He's eating it up. You can tell this was such a fun time for him.
All right, dorks, what are we blowing up? What? The Vatican? Wow. Okay, I'll do it. But you guys are going to hell. Did you know, listen to me, did you know that I was legally dead for 2 minutes? 2 minutes. Bob, pay attention.
Whether him and Vin Diesel got along or not, I don't know, but I've heard that they had some problems too. I'm starting to think Vin Diesel's the problem. But Jason Momoa's performance, he's just eating it up. It's just another case of the Fast 9 sort of problem where they write this character in. He was there the whole time, we just didn't see him. He was in Fast 5 as Ray as his son. He was just in the background, and we never saw him. So it's like these weird... It feels like a soap opera when you have these flashback scenes, and it's like, this is what really happened all along. It's stupid, I get it, but I still had more fun with this than the last 2 that I just showed. It's got more fun action, and it leaves you on a pretty cliffhanger-ish climax where I'm curious where they go with Fast 11. Of course they have the same issue where they keep bringing every dead person back. Fucking Gal Gadot's going to be back for the next one because they just cannot leave well enough alone. And it looked like The Rock and Jason Statham will be back. So they're going to have everybody in this next movie that they can. I believe they'll even probably bring Paul Walker back from the dead if they fucking can. Next up, so this is 7th on the list, we've got... Is that 7th? Yeah. It is. Fast and Furious 6. There's nothing really wrong with this movie. Like, I genuinely like it. I have a good time when I watch it. It's just there has to be movies above this. And this is the forgettable Fast and Furious for me of the first 7. I consider the first 7 almost a separate franchise because those are the Paul Walker movies, aka the more enjoyable ones. So you can kind of just watch those first 7 and just pretend the rest don't exist. And this to me is the most forgettable one with the crew. So out of 5, 6, and 7, this is the most forgettable one for me. Even though it's got the most bombastic action scenes at the end, it's got 2 climaxes back to back, because this was meant to be 2 movies split into one. First movie is supposed to be called The Fast, and the second would be called The Furious, and that would be the 2-part finale to the franchise. But when Justin Lin was told, no, we're going to keep going, we want to keep making more money, he just was like, fuck, I don't want to keep making these, so I'll put both of my finales in this one movie and give people like a 50-minute climax to this movie, basically, where it's just non-stop action. So if you enjoy action, this might be one of your favorite ones, and I love it for that. I really do. It's just, I love me a good character moment, and I know it's just Fast and Furious, like, if you're looking for character moments, what are you watching this for? But the first few movies have slower scenes where the characters talk about their lives, you get to hear about their backstories. This one just doesn't really have any of that. There's just no time for that. It's just next scene, next scene, next scene, next scene, next scene. And it's fun if you just want an action movie. Like I said, this is probably one of the best ones for pure action, and you'll not get bored watching this. There's no chance. And Owen Shaw, great villain. I don't really have complaints in that aspect.
Consider it in advance. For what? The next job, of course. Which job? The one we're working right now.
I just, if I'm going to watch Fast and Furious, this one doesn't have very much car action. Neither does 5, which we'll get to when I talk about that right now, which is 6th on my list. I believe it's 6th, yeah. This is everybody's favorite Fast and Furious, and I just simply cannot understand why. It's not a Fast and Furious movie. This is Ocean's 11 mixed with, I don't even know, like the Italian Job. It does not feel like Fast and Furious. There's nothing about this where I watch this and I'm like, yeah, that was Fast and Furious. There's not a single race scene in this entire movie, not counting the cop car race, which I don't count that. That's not a race. There's no real car action. Every nice car they have in this is wasted. Like the Skyline at the beginning with the 73 that literally is in this movie for 5 seconds. Like, that's all you're going to do with this car? Okay. And all the cars on the train they do nothing with. Like the Corvette just drives off a fucking cliff. There's just a lot of stuff about this movie I don't love, but at the same time, it's a fun action movie, and like I said, if you enjoy Ocean's 11 or Italian Job, you'll really like this. So you need to watch this with the mindset of that, rather than racing and, you know, that kind of... There's really no car action to be seen. Even when they're about to show car action, they just cut away in this movie. It's almost like they're saying this to the car people in the crowd. You've got the scene there where they're testing the cars for going by the camera. That's like a 1 minute scene, and they cut so fast and rapidly you can't even tell what's happening. And the race scene when Dom gets the Porsche from that guy, we don't see any of that. That guy comes back in Fast 10 and blows up, by the way. I just hate stuff like that when I rewatch this. All I think of is, man, if you just gave me 2 races in this movie or something, a race, some sort of scene where they race around Brazil, I would love it, but instead we get them bringing a fucking Volt around, which is cool, not Fast and Furious like at all, and the ending almost feels like the end of a franchise, so it's really weird watching the end of this and then watching the beginning of 6, where it's like, I almost feel like you guys should have just stopped this here a little bit. They all got their money, they all get to live happily ever after at the end, but they had to keep making money. Number 5, we've got Furious 7. This movie's grown on me more and more and more over the years. If you're into the visual effects side of film, you're going to be bothered by the fact that Paul Walker's dead for most of this, so you're going to notice that, which that's just, you know, it's unfortunate, but as you get older and you get into that side of film and you like movies, you're going to be able to notice that stuff without being able to turn that side of your brain off, unfortunately. So when you watch this, you can't really not notice it. A lot of the scenes with him are reused footage, or just straight up they used his brothers as stand-ins. Like even this shot here on the front, that is not him, that is his brother as the stand-in with the CGI Paul Walker face. It's sad, but it makes this movie a nice culmination, because it's the last movie with his character that I think he'll be in. He was barely at the end. I think it was Fast 9, where he rolls up with the blue Skyline. Obviously it wasn't him. I don't know whether my only real gripe with this movie, besides the whole the shooting around dead Paul Walker, which that is not on them at all, that's just the circumstance they were dealt, is the fact that The Rock is barely in this. I'm pretty sure he was either injured or he was filming something else, or maybe a mixture of the both, and he's barely fucking in this movie, and it pisses me off every time I watch it. You spend an hour in between his one scene at the beginning and between it might even be longer. It's like an hour and a half between the 2 scenes in the movie where he shows up. It's like, that really? He has the most badass scene at the beginning with Jason Statham. He doesn't show up until the end, which is, don't get me wrong, he's badass at the end too. But it feels like he's just shooting a lot of scenes by himself because they were adding that later. Like they filmed around the fact that he was injured, so that bothers me. And the whole Letty not remembering anything stupid. But again, it's a Fast and Furious movie. I enjoy the action in this. I enjoy that they go in so many different places in this movie. LA, Abu Dhabi. They go to Tokyo for the scene where you get to see Sean again. So if you like a scenic Fast and Furious, this is the one. They go all over the world, it seems. It even starts out in London because that's Owen Shaw in the hospital. So it just all over the place. Deckard Shaw is a great villain. Of course, when I watched this and everyone watched this, we all knew he'd end up on their crew eventually. It was inevitable. So overall, I just have fun with this movie. I turn it off before the ending every time because it's so sad, but the first 2 hours before that, it's a good time. Saw this movie like 5 times in theaters, so this was my Fast and Furious that I saw most in theaters, and I've got like a personal bond with it. Now we're into the movie. Oh shit, I almost dropped it. Now we're into the movies I consider like really close to my heart. Fast and Furious, the fourth one. This is the first one I was able to see in the theaters when I was 8 years old. And I remember stumbling upon the trailer to this on one of those websites when I was 7 years old. It would have been 2008 when I found the trailer. And I remember I was at my grandma's and I was like, Dad, come here. Come here. There's more Fast and Furious now. It was a big bonding point between me and my dad. We really enjoy these movies. He thought I was lying at first. I could not believe what I was seeing. It was the scene where he was on the gas truck, or Letty's on the gas truck, and she's, knocking off the part of it. I couldn't believe it. It's like we're getting more Fast and Furious. The trailer was so good for that movie. Bring me back to 2008 and 9. It's not the best, I get it. This is a very predictable movie, and a lot of people even would put it into the forgettable category, but it gives you all of those original characters when they're still pretty young, and gives you a vibe of the first movie again, and to me that hits me. The first movie, you'll see, it's my favorite in the franchise, spoiler. So it's when I get to see these characters in their element in LA before they're on this big heist every movie. It's just nice. It's like a nice small scale Fast and Furious movie. We don't get these anymore, so it's nice that this even exists, where it was a nice launching point for the rest of the franchise. If this didn't work, this would have been the end. This would have been it. So it's nice that it did work, because then we got to get the rest of this franchise and see where they went with it, whether you like it or not. But I was so happy and excited, and those moments and memories will not leave me. I'm aware of the flaws with this. I love Brian's character arc in this movie. I get that it's unrealistic that they let him back on the FBI after what he did. But I love the dynamic between him and Dom, obviously, and him and Mia, and then Letty's whole death thing that she probably should have stayed dead. Would have made more sense. I like Braga, too. It's just front to back. My buddy and I meme this movie all the time. The Pitbull soundtrack, so many things come to mind with this, and it's got the last good race of the entire franchise. The race with the rerouting. Shut up! Rerouting. Just shut up! Nice reference to the first movie. Shut up! So this was tough for me because I love this movie unabashedly. Like, I really do. More than most people, but I could not justify putting it number 2. Too Fast, Too Furious at 3. I love this movie. I get, again, that there's plenty of flaws with it, but I love what they went for. It wasn't very similar to the first movie. It was a different vibe altogether. John Singleton said it many times. He was going for the anime vibe of, like, a speed racer. That's why when you're seeing those close-ups, when it's the CGI, obviously, he's going for that speed racer-esque vibe, and I appreciate that different take on the franchise. They wouldn't take these weird risks anymore with any movies, let alone a franchise that already had an established movie, or 2 or 3, or we're up to 10 now. So if we went to Fast 11 and we decided to do weird shit like this, it would just throw people off. But back then, studios were willing to take these types of weird risks, and John Singleton was the right choice for this, for me anyways. Tyrese Gibson, back when he was not annoying, he was a pretty likable character in this movie. This is the best we ever got from Roman Pierce. Suki, Tej, and even Eva Mendes is good. Eva, whatever you want to call her. She's pretty good, if you know what I'm talking about. And this is the most likable you will ever get Brian. For me, personally, this is my favorite Paul Walker performance in the whole franchise. He's just so likable in this whole movie. He's not worrying about anything. He's just the cool guy in town. Everybody loves him. They call him Bullet because he's running the fucking streets. He's basically what Dom was in the first movie, but in Miami. So I love being able to see that side of Brian. In the first movie, we don't see that. He's just the timid cop that doesn't smile much. This one, he's smiling the whole time, having a good time with Roman, sticking up the finger while driving.
Shit. Yeah, Roman, he like them apples!
This movie's got some of the more memorable scenes in the franchise for me. The boat jump scene, the race, the pink slip race, the race at the beginning of the movie, and they jump the Supra and Skyline.
Oh!
This is just iconic. I get that it's cheesy. I get that it's not a perfect movie. None of these movies in this franchise are, spoiler alert. Way to really shake up your world. I'm sure you didn't already know that fact, that these movies are flawed, but you gotta watch them with that in mind. Now, picking between these two, again, was tough. Because some days, Tokyo Drift, which is number 2 on my list, is number 1 for me. It really depends on what mood I'm in. And I will not fault anybody who has this number 1, because it is so different in the best way possible. This is the only movie in the entire franchise that the entire plot revolves around racing. There's nothing else. There's no side quests. There's no story about stealing VCRs. This entire movie is about racing. It begins with a race, it ends with a race. That's it. And if you want your pure race movie, this is it. It's got the most action of the entire franchise for car stunts, everything. It's perfect for that. And on top of that, it's not just car stunts, it's drifting. So you get this entirely different vibe to this movie in Tokyo, which they didn't really film most of it in Tokyo. I'm sorry to break your hearts. They filmed most of this in Los Angeles. Some of this was filmed in Tokyo, but there was no permits that you could get there. So they'd get their shots, cops would come in, okay, get out of here. They're pretty lenient about it, apparently. They let them film their one shot or whatever, but then, okay, it's time to get out of here. But most of this was filmed in LA, and they did a really good job converting LA, because until I was like a teenager, I had no idea. So the vibe of this is probably the best vibe of the whole franchise, the Tokyo vibe with the music. My life be like, yeah. My life be like, yeah. The cars. It's just, if you get what I'm talking about, you get what I'm talking about. Han is a fucking awesome character. This is where Han was at his best. They've unfortunately kind of wasted Han in the rest of the movies. He's just kind of the side guy who's kind of cool and charismatic. He's just fucking badass in this movie. And he's the Yoda and Obi-Wan of this, where he's teaching Sean all these amazing life lessons.
Yeah, who you choose to be around you lets you know who you are. One car in exchange for knowing what a man's made of. That's a price I can live with.
Speaking of Sean, great character. Lucas Black, I like him a lot in this movie. I don't have any complaints. I really don't with this movie. I do not have, even Brian T as DK. The casting was great. Bow Wow's not as annoying as I remembered him when I was a kid. He's hilarious in this movie. I seriously don't have a complaint with this. And that's why putting this at 1 must be hard for some of you to understand. But this is the first movie that I can comprehend that I ever saw. This is the first movie I remember seeing when I was a baby. I had, like any kid, you put a movie on to try and distract a kid. They'd put the racing scenes on, and I would start shaking and jumping up and down and getting all excited. Especially the scene at the beginning in the Dodgers parking lot when Brian's doing his pull-out with the Eclipse. I rewatched that scene more than I've seen any scene in a movie in my life. So this is probably my favorite movie ever in terms of if I am just not feeling well, bad mentally, bad physically, I just put this on and I feel better instantaneously. And it also helps that my friends and I are able to talk about this. We all like this movie. All of my friends have seen this first one in particular. It's a meme front to back, but a good meme, where I enjoy every scene in this. I wouldn't change anything about this. The cinematography is really good. There's a lot of scenes where I feel like it looks like a 60s movie where they're going for that old California, almost like how Gone in 60 Seconds had that, I can't even explain it, but it looks almost washed a little bit, how old movies look, and I absolutely love that about this first movie. It stands on its own in the way that it looks, for sure. I love the cars. This is the best movie for me in terms of the cars on screen. The Supra, the Eclipse, even Leon's Skyline, the Jetta, Dom's Charger, Dom's RX-7. The list just, it just keeps going and going and going. And just think that they didn't have that much money. A lot of the cars that they had loaned them from people, and they had to paint them and give these cars back. Like, they were just making this on the fly, which is why it is good. When you have, you know, the less expectation, the less money, the less eyeballs on you, I feel like you're just able to do more with the art. You know, when you're at Fast 10 or 11, we all know what we're expecting at that point. No one knew what to expect from Redline, which was what it was called for the first 2 or 3 years of its creation. Then they changed it to the Fast and the Furious, and now we've got Then they changed it to the Fast and the Furious, and now we have this whole franchise that we all know and either love or hate. Basically, it's just Point Break all over again. We've all been told, we've all heard it. They even film in a lot of the same areas. You won't hear me complaining. Point Break's one of my favorite movies ever, so I don't have any, again, like with Tokyo Drift, I don't really have any complaints with this movie. I love it. I could sit here talking about it all day long. So that is that. That is my Fast and Furious franchise ranking. I'd like to do this again at some time and see if my opinions changed at all. So I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.